I too have been hit with massive algorithm shift view drop, so thank you so much for clicking on this video. Like and share and comment if you liked it, but only if you liked it, of course. Anyway, on with the video. Back in April, I filmed a Blunderbirds video in which I rescued a player's stranded SSTO, and to film this mission, I had to install the Mark II expansion mod so that their SSTO would indeed spawn into the universe, since it was built with parts from this mod. And honestly, I've been itching to give this parts mod a proper look ever since, because I think the Mark II spaceplane part system is missing some very crucial pieces. And you know me, I do like building a good old SSTO every now and then, so let's jump right in. Now, this is going to be by no means a comprehensive overview of every single available part in the Mark II spaceplane system. I'm building a craft on screen. This was like take one of the build. Like I just said, right, I'm going to just try and use as many parts from this mod as possible and build a cool looking spaceplane. So a lot of the build is me mousing over, like, you know, the parts in the build menu and seeing what they are. And like, oh yeah, maybe I could incorporate this. I was completely overwhelmed, to be honest. There were loads of parts that I really wanted to include that I just couldn't because I was including too many. So maybe I'll have to do like a sequel to this video where I kind of do things. Well, I kind of do this again, basically. But you guys can leave comments down below, people who are more familiar with this mod than me. Did I miss like a really, really great part that really I should have included on this craft? That's something I kind of want answered down below, because this, again, this was my first take with playing with this mod, and I just filmed it. I thought, oh, this turned out pretty well. I'll just use this SSTO. So it does have some very weird design choices, like those side-mounted fuel tanks. It would be better if kind of the front of them was an air intake or something, but I wanted to try out that super skinny vertical Mark II cockpit, so that's so this is not a practical design. I just kind of wanted to try out the mod for myself, and that was just a part I wanted to see and doing the air quotes thing in real life. But as you can see, construction of the aircraft is pretty much done, so I guess the time to see those parts in real life is now upon us. So let us crossfade over to the spaceplane runway and have a look at our vehicle. Doesn't it look magnificent standing there? It would look a lot better though with those rear engines lit. And we are off. Yes, normally when I build SSTOs on this channel, well, long-range SSTOs I should say, the engines that power it are usually the Rapier engines and the nuclear engines. And that's still true here, but we have stand-in parts from the Mark II expansion part mod. So we've got, to be honest guys, I don't really remember the names of the parts. Just download the mod from the link in the description, as you can see. But yeah, the mod, I believe, I don't want to say too much because I might get it wrong and therefore be a spreader of misinformation. But I think there are like 2 Rapier kind of stand-ins in the Mark II expansion mod, and there is a nuclear engine as well, and that's what's going to be powering this aircraft as we punch through the sound barrier and begin our ascent. And one thing became immediately apparent is that this thing is really, really, really well built, as in the thrust weight ratio is very good. Probably a little bit too good. I probably didn't need quite as many of those Rapier engines on here as I ended up using, but I kind of wanted to just try out those adapter pieces, and you know, it just all worked out really well. And oh, look at that as we punch through the well, not punching through anything I should say, but those amazing heating effects from the Firefly mod start to show as we fly through the higher parts of the atmosphere. Now, as you can see, we are still accelerating using the engine in air breathing mode. So that's all we're using at the moment. Once our acceleration starts to taper off, I will then fire up the big nuclear engine. So it's the nuclear engine here. It has similar properties to the stock nuclear engine. It is a bit bigger. It's just been lit as well. It is a bit bigger, and it does have slightly higher thrust than the standard nuclear engine. You know, it's a physically bigger engine, so I guess that makes sense. But it's not like the swerve engine in KSP2, which like completely made the nuclear engine redundant almost. So yeah, it's a fun old thing. And we are still very high in the atmosphere, and we're still getting air to those engines. I do have a giant air intake kind of underneath the front cockpit to make up for the fact that the 2 radial tanks just have like command pods on the front instead of air intakes. But just there though, we did have flame out, and the engines have now automatically switched to closed cycle mode. You can see our oxidizer levels in the top right of the screen rapidly depleting. I didn't want to let them get completely to 0, so there we go, cut them off there with 36.37 units remaining, just because I've got some Werner engines on the very front of this ship to help us nose up when taking off from the place that we're going to land on, and those engines require oxidizer in addition to liquid fuel. And I thought it might be nice just we have the ability to quickly fire the Rapier engines in case we need a burst of acceleration taking off. I know I'm going to keep calling them the Rapier engines because I don't remember what they're called. I'm not a great ambassador for the mod, it would seem. Hang on, yeah, this is not good. Let me just quickly find out what this engine is called. Hello, I'm back from looking at the game files and can confirm that this engine is called the Restock engine. More on that later though. First, I want to go to Live Matt to do a little tour of our craft. Thanks for that editing, Matt. So we're going to do the tour of the space plane. So this is the cockpit. This is one of the cockpits, of course. This is part of the Mark II expansion mod. Very, very sleek. And as you can see, it sits 3 Kerbals rather than the 2, like the standard cockpit that this is kind of building off of. Right, so let's go through this hatch and look at our first interior compartment. This is our crew cabin. They all look absolutely elated to be here. We have well, we haven't really got much of a view. I probably should have flipped the SSTO round so we had a view of cabin, but whatever. We shall now continue the tour. We're going to float through this little hatch here. And this is genuinely the first time I've seen the inside of this module. So this is really exciting for me as much as it is for you guys. So this is the science lab, I think. Yeah, this is the science lab. I know that because it says science here. We've got experiments, tests, tubes, tests, and bio-storage. No lab is complete. Of course, we have more bio-storage around here. And we have air, parts, and tools. All things that one would find in a laboratory. And then bringing up the rear, I just thought it'd be nice to have the Mark II inline cockpit here. Don't know why, just seemed like the right thing to do. This is, of course, not part of the mod. This is part of stock Kerbal Space Program. We've got 2 little Kerbals here. Just surveying the ship. So we're just going to teleport back to our seat because there's one other place that we want to look at. And that is, let's just, what's the button? V, isn't it? Flick through everything really quickly. Oh, there's the view from the kind of rear inline thing, by the way. And then there's the view from the little slim side port. Because this is a command pod, we can spin the ship. And there we are, and there's the MUN over there. So, yeah, I would never really, built Mark II cockpits, or Mark II vessels, I should say, with the tanks on their side like this. So I'm not really sure how I feel about the look. But the fact is that it's nice to have the ability to do a sideways cockpit orientation like that, I guess, is the main thing there. So yeah, that's that concludes the tour. So we'll crossfade back to now. Thank you, Live Matt. Back to editing Matt now. I actually forgot to do a tour for this when I was filming this, so I then loaded a quick save, filmed that live segment, and now we're back. So in case you're wondering now why the readings might look a bit different, it's because I've now gone back in time from when I just made that quick save. So yes, as I said, the Rapier equivalent that I'm using on this craft is indeed called the Restock engine. I've noted down what the in-game part description says. So it says, continuing the trend of sword-based naming conventions, the Restock, or Environment Selected Thrust Operating Cycle engine, is an advanced spaceplane engine that straddles the line between jet and rocket. Also, it comes in the sleek Mark II form factor, a must-have for all spaceplane aficionados. So there we are. And where are we taking this spaceplane? Well, I basically got this thing to orbit and I decided, I'll make a judgment about where we can go based on our Delta V levels. And really the only candidate was Minmus. So that's where we're going to go. And I know Minmus isn't the most exotic of locations, but really, I think the focus of this video is the parts mod itself rather than, going somewhere necessarily really exciting. That being said, I do like going to Minmus. I think it's one of the most fun places to visit in Kerbal Space Program. In this instance, though, the burn calculator indicator thing wasn't working properly. I think the game was assuming I had the power of all of my available engines rather than just the nuclear engine. So it was saying the burn would be really, really short and ended up being really, really long. So I had to stop the burn and then do another burn. I don't know if it made sense when you were watching the footage, but that's what happened there. But speaking of the nuclear engine, I've also taken the liberty to find out what is actually called, and I've got the part description as well because it was quite funny. So the engine I'm using here, so the nuclear engine in this case, is the AT2 Pluto atomic rocket motor. Following numerous complaints of long-term LVN nerve usage, to viewer, that's the stock nuclear engine in Kerbal Space Program. following numerous complaints of long-term LVN nerve usage, resulting in what engineers phrased so calmly as spontaneous sustained oxidization phenomenon, and what everyone else described as uncontrollably on fire, a new engine was designed, featuring a pair of radiators, and was incorporated into a Mark II mount to accommodate the added bulk. Warranty void if radiator fins used as barbecue grills, which I think we could all agree, guys, is a fairly reasonable thing to bring up. Now, I feel like, guys, I can't really avoid the elephant in the room any longer, and that is, you know, you probably definitely saw the disclaimer at the beginning of this video that unfortunately my channel has not escaped the massive view drops that other channels like, you know, Linus Tech Tips, Second Wind, all that have been experiencing, and it's been pretty brutal. And people have been asking me, like, suggesting things like, oh, it's actually just, you know, ad blockers aren't showing up, but engagement's the same. And some people are saying that people aren't being shown the videos on computers or certain demographics, or it's because of auto dubbing. Everyone's got different theories, and different theories seem to be applied to different channels. So Second Wind seems to be being screwed over by restricted mode, as I guess Red Letter Media, I think, is as well. Linus Tech Tips, that's like squeaky clean, family-friendly content, right? So that can't be that. So I don't know what they figured out was happening there. With me, I've been like poring over my analytics. I've made this like I've got like an Excel spreadsheet of all my like I'm comparing like all the videos that happened since mid-August and all the like a few months ago before the big view drop happened. And yeah, I wrote down everything. So like views, they're down 76%, likes are down 45%, the view to like ratio is down 57%, comments are down 52%, the view count the view to comment ratio is down 51%, revenues down 88%, the impressions, so like how often YouTube is showing the videos to people, is down 67%. So everything is just down for me. It's not like, oh, it's normal, but the view count isn't accurate. Like mine genuinely are just like being killed, and it's just really heartbreaking. I don't really know what the solution is. I've already had sponsors cancel contracts because of this happening, which, you know, I don't want to burden you guys, because this is like, you can watch these videos, enjoy them, and not have to deal with like the things I have to deal with. But I'm just saying, I feel like I should explain myself with that little disclaimer at the beginning of the video. So, you know, if you are enjoying this and want to share it, then it is always appreciated. All I can really figure out from my looking at my studio and seeing what changed is that before the change, the majority of my views were people watching YouTube on their televisions. So I think it usually would be between 45 on the lower end to about 70%. I feel like the median was about 65%, but this is just anecdotally. I haven't crunched the numbers properly. But about 65% of my views would come from televisions. Then, from that fateful zone of around mid-August, suddenly television is only making up 15% of my views on average, and most are now coming from computers. That's the only difference I can see. A lot of people have been saying that English-speaking channels who enable auto-dubbing are getting kind of screwed because... you know, for those that don't know, if you're an English speaker like myself, if my video gets shown to someone in, say, Germany, when they click on the video will like have the... I think this is my understanding of it. There'll be like a robot that narrates in German, and it would like translate the title, but it doesn't do a very good job, so the title doesn't even really work anymore, and it's rubbish. Now, when I heard of this feature, like as a creator, I'm told about these features, and they're like, would you like to turn this feature on? And I said, that feature sounds rubbish. So I never turned it on. So my channel is like, it is disabled. Like there is no... to my knowledge, like this is what I checked my analytics. I was like, yeah, it is still disabled. So I'm curious to know if you know, any people who don't speak, who live in a country where English is not the main language, my videos, they should still be in English. I don't know, guys. I don't really know what's happening. No one really knows what's happening. Everything is different for every single creator. It's deeply, deeply frustrating, and it's quite soul-crushing, to be honest. We'll have to see how it goes. I had a similar... So basically one of the things is that, oh yeah, every September the schools go back, especially American school kids. I'm not like saying America, this is bad. I'm just saying that's where most of the audience is. This is America. So American school kids go back and then go back to school, go back to university or whatever. Views are going to be down. That's, yes, every single year that happens. Like views go down. They pick up around sort of Black Friday and stuff. They sort of really ramp up around sort of May in the summer and then dips down. The seasonal dips are normal. I'm used to them. I've been doing this channel 10 years now, so I'm kind of used to what the seasonal dips look like. And this is not a normal seasonal dip. And it's like... this is the case for everyone, where this is not a normal change. This is something weird, and something has happened, and YouTube is not really saying what. Well, first of all, they said that nothing's changed, and now they've said that some ad blockers are not showing as views, and now they've said something else. I don't remember what it was, and I don't fully buy it. There's definitely been some change that they're not telling us about, maybe because they don't know. At the end of the day, the algorithm is based on machine learning, right? So humans can never really know what's happening. So yeah, I don't really know. I'll have to just see how this video does and see how my other videos do. I'm hoping that we can ride out the storm together, you and I, but we'll just have to see. The only time I remember a drop happening like this before was, I want to say, it was either 2016 or 2017. I think it was probably 2017, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was me, Marcus House, back when Marcus House was a KSP YouTuber, not super duper famous SpaceX guy. Did that sound like an insult? I really hope it didn't. That was a compliment of the highest order. But yes, he used to be a KSP YouTuber first and foremost, and Mark Thrim, who unfortunately is no longer active sadly, which is a great shame. He's a great channel. But the three of us were like seeing massive dips. Like Marcus House would say that he was no longer even breaking 10,000 views per video, which is wild to think about now I see his numbers these days. And then Mark Thrim was getting killed similarly. I had more subscribed, like a lot more subscribers than those guys back then, and so my views weren't quite as down, but proportionally it was about the same. Like we were all down about 80%. And it lasted like 2-3 months, and then gradually they started picking up, and now it's like, oh wow, yeah, it's like distant memory when that happened. But yeah, I put out some bangers during that time. They got like 20,000 views tops, and maybe I should go back through my back catalog, find those videos that didn't get any views, and just re-release them. Well, I'm not going to literally re-release them, right? But I'm going to remake them, remaster them with modded KSP, with modern KSP, with modern mods for modern KSP, and so there'll be better videos. And yeah, we can go. One of the most popular videos this year, in fact, was me recreating my very old submarine video. It's very old because it is like literally the first video I ever did on this channel. That was Kerbal Space Program, that is. So yeah, we'll have to ride out the storm. I don't really know what's happening anymore. So if you do want to join the Patreon or join my YouTube member program, then it's always very much appreciated. You always get, I'm trying to do more, but I'm just one person. This is not my full-time job. Thank goodness this is not my full-time job. Like, I have a day job, so I really only have so many hours in the day to like make content. And if I was to make Patreon exclusive, member exclusive content often, then I basically wouldn't be able to make weekly public content, and that's not something I really want to compromise on. So that's the downside there. But I do try and make an ad. I try and get an ad-free version of KSP videos up for the patrons and the members, and in the description of that video there will be like a link to download the craft file. I don't do like the members or anything, because I know a lot of channels they're complaining that like when non-members view their channel, the algorithm really pushes hard for the members exclusive stuff, and that's kind of that's off-putting to non-members, and even the creators like, we don't want our videos to be, because then people are going to be put off my channel basically. I don't ever really do members only videos. What I do is far dumber than that. I'll just upload it and then leave it unlisted, and then just send the link to my patrons, and then I'll make a post on my YouTube channel page that's only visible to members, and then that post will just have a link to the unlisted video. And that's basically, if you've got the link to the video, even if you're not a patron or a YouTube member, you would still be able to watch it if you had the link. It's kind of based on trust and the fact that I just want to make things as easy as possible, people, right? Like, say, I don't know, you are a member, but your partner or your friend isn't, but you both want to watch the video together, you can just send them the link and they can cast it onto their TV or whatever. Like, I want to make things easy and not have, like, paywalls making things hard to access. I don't know. That's the sitch with my Patreon. Now, what's happening? Maybe I should talk about what's happening on screen, because this whole conversation is getting quite repetitive and kind of depressing. I don't really know. But as you can see, we're in this really eccentric orbit. Not eccentric, tilted. Well, there's a little bit eccentric, isn't it? But a tilted orbit around Kerbin, which is going to make getting back to the Kerbal Space Center rather difficult. But I noticed that actually our orbital line almost perfectly passes over the desert airfield. So I thought, let's just land there instead. Now, the downside to this is that I'd never really land at this airstrip. I think maybe like 5 times in my life, and that's being generous there. So unlike the Kerbal Space Center, I don't really know what land masses and landmarks to look out for to know if I'm going to undershoot or overshoot this destination. So KSC, it's quite easy. I want to be coming over that little desert peninsula that we're going over the sea. Then there's like a mountain range, and you've got to aim between 2 of the mountain peaks. That gets you on a nice course to the runway. Super drilled in at this point. Not so much for the desert airfields. That's why I'm like cutting to the map screen a lot more frequently than I might otherwise do in some of my other videos that involve an SSTO or space shuttle landing or what have you. So yeah, that was it. I was kind of worried as well, because further to make things even more difficult for myself, as you can see, it is night time, so I can't even see the land masses that I would normally be using to help navigate my way down to the runway. Now, luckily, the desert airstrip has these really bright lights that, well, it's lit up basically. So it's got light strips on either side of it, so it's actually really easy to see at night. And you'll see this in a second. So where the nose of the space plane is, to the left of that, you'll see this like white line start to appear, and that's the runway. As you can see from the map screen there, we are still quite far away from it. But that's what you got to look out for. I didn't even notice it first, and I was like, hey, that line looks like it could be a runway. Most of the lines on this channel are about, drawing a line from Kerbal to the Sun to Juno. So this way is a very welcome change in terms of lines I can talk about for once. Now it's still... Oh, there it is. I just saw a little glimmer. You can see it? It's sort of like not there permanently. It's only intermittently appearing because it's kind of underneath the clouds, courtesy, of course, of BlackRack's amazing Volumetric clouds mod. But yeah, now I think it's a lot more visible. So I'm like, yeah, there it is. We can navigate there. It was a kind of a shame. Normally when I do spaceplane re-entries, I try and just glide to the runway and land without needing our engines at all. For no other reason other than the fact that it just looks cool, and I get to have like, yeah, I'm good at this game sometimes. But in this instance, I wasn't able to glide there. We would have hit the ground too early. So I will need to fire up our air-breathing, what are they called? I need to open up my notepad file. The S-Stock engines, the 4 S-Stock engines in air-breathing mode, so we can get back to the runway. And there we are. We have lit the engines once again, and we could just speed the footage up a little bit, right? It's going by a bit slowly, and then we can go ahead and perform our landing on the landing strip. So, as the video comes to a close, do I have any closing thoughts? I don't think so. I think I kind of got off my chest what I wanted to get off my chest to the 5 people that this video is going to get shown to. So, if you are one of those 5 people and you've made it this far, then thank you so much for sticking with me and sticking with me for this video and just for this channel. A channel I don't really know what the future holds in store for. Maybe this video will do really well and it was all for naught, and now I just look like a whining idiot. Well, is that any different to normal? Who knows? But there's touchdown there. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks, I think. So we've got to ride out the storm, see what happens. If I have to change things up, we'll have to change things up. Yeah. But there we are. We have now already... There we go. We've come to a stop. We don't want to leave the video on a dark note, right? And by dark note, of course, I mean night time. So we can just time warp to the day. And there we are. I think it came out quite well, this SSTO, didn't it? I really like the shuttle fin at the back tilted. It looks nice and sleek. I think as far as my Mark II SSTOs, this one looks pretty good. Which is good because I'm showcasing a mod that adds lots of really good Mark II parts. So good job that it came out well. And now, of course, I have to say I mentioned them earlier, my Patreons, my members. There they are on the right-hand side of the screen. If your name is there, thank you so much for your support. And if you want to see your name in lights there, then you know what to do. There's links in the description you can click. And there's other videos on screen you can click as well. Maybe it was a video that you haven't seen before because YouTube didn't show it to anyone. So if it looks like a video you might enjoy, then you can click it and see if you do. Okay, goodbye.